Good afternoon, and thank you all for coming. I must say that I'm excited. 2 days ago, I received an email from the White House requesting that I attend President Biden's announcement on his gun violence plan. And today, I had the fortunate opportunity to attend his announcement today at the White House. As the only law enforcement member present in the announcement, I felt an honor as a police chief, but also an honor to be someone who knows what it's like to lose someone to gun violence, and to hear the president speak to the families of victims of gun violence, and hear the country's move towards reducing gun violence and pushing forth legislation around ghost guns. It was a exciting time as a chief of Oakland, a city that has experienced an extreme increase in violent crime, particularly shootings and homicides. And then we've also seen an increase in the use of ghost guns. Today was very meaningful for me to be in attendance, but also meaningful for the city of Oakland. And then for the president to acknowledge that violence prevention is important, and for our Attorney General Garland to say that $1 billion will be allocated to reducing violence and violence prevention was something that I was really happy to hear. Hopefully, the city of Oakland can be a recipient of some of those funds, and we can continue our violence reduction strategy in Oakland, which centers around violence interruption. So with that, I'll take any questions that you might have.
Happening right now, the Oakland police chief is discussing his support for President Joe Biden's push to end gun violence. He was at the White House event this morning. Let's listen in.
All right, next question going to Brooks.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Chief, for taking our questions. I have a two-part question. First, in California, as you know, there's been some strong gun laws, but I'm curious how this plan will impact gun violence specifically in your city in Oakland. And also, have red flag laws had any positive effect so far in our community or the Greater Bay Area?
Yeah, I'll first start by saying, in our efforts to address gun violence in the city of Oakland, we have seen a huge increase in the use of ghost guns. We've seen crimes committed with these guns, including homicides. These guns are very difficult to track. We have to do something about these guns. And I think the legislative action that you've seen taken today will begin that process. As the Attorney General spoke about, some initiatives that will be moving forward in the next 30 days, I think will help. It will help to limit ghost guns being produced in this country and hopefully entering our communities. I think when it comes to these red flag initiatives, we have enough laws on the books in California. I think it's important that we work collaboratively, both at the federal, the state, and the local level, to ensure that these guns are not entering our communities from other states, states that don't have as strict laws as we do in the state of California. We've seen straw purchases from other states where people are going to gun shows and purchasing weapons and bringing those weapons back into our community. We want to limit that. And today, I think, was a strong message that the president is taking a stance and wants to curb this activity. And we hope to see less firearms in the city of Oakland.
All right, we're going to move on to Daniel Montes with Bay City News.
Sorry, I have no questions. Thank you. Sorry.
No worries. I'll come back to Cron 4 again. Cron, are you ready? All right, going down the list, Jesse Garcia.
Hi, Chief. Thank you for taking these questions. If Oakland is a recipient of the funds, are there any specific plans you have in mind already?
I think it's my hope to see more violence interrupters in our community. I think community-led violence prevention and intervention is critical. Our Department of Violence Prevention is in need of additional resources. resources. And so I hope grant funding like that can support that. I hope that it can support our ceasefire program to increase the number of ceasefire officers that we have, as well as bolster the partnerships that we have with our community and our clergy, allowing us to do more night walks, allowing us to do more custom notifications that are led by community, so that community can be compensated for their time and their energy as we all work together to address gun violence in the city of Oakland. So I do think that there's some tremendous opportunities there. I believe that it will bolster our efforts to all work collaboratively to address gun violence in the city of Oakland. So I'm very hopeful.
All right, I'm going to go to KCBS Radio going forward. And also, can you just start raising your hands if you also have a question? But KCBS Radio, you're up next. All right, keep it moving. KPIX. I see someone named Erica. All right, I'll move up to Melissa, Colorado. Melissa.
Hi there, Chief. So I think you mentioned earlier that you were the only law enforcement at the press conference. Can you expand on that? Was it a special invite from Vice President Kamala Harris? What was it like to be the man in the room?
Just a unique experience to be the only law enforcement leader in the room. I think a lot of people know my history, know that I've experienced violence myself and my own family, and so everybody also knows that I've been committed to working collaboratively with violence prevention organizations. And so, I think it was a great opportunity for the president and his team to look to me to be in the room and represent law enforcement, knowing my commitment to reduce gun violence and the violence that we experience in Oakland, and knowing that all of the things that he spoke about today were critical to the needs of Oakland. And so just really delighted to be here and be supportive of his efforts.
Thank you, Chief. I see Rachel Swan. Rachel, do you have a question?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thanks. I just wanted to know about ceasefire. How many call-ins were you able to hold last year, and how many do you plan to hold this year? Or I'm sorry, mediation. I forget the term, but the mediations.
Rachel, I'll take care of that. Chief, I'll take care of that. Rachel, we'll give you some exact numbers. If you can send us an email, but I don't know if you want to speak anything to that, Chief, but to get you the exact numbers, Rachel, we'll take care of that.
Okay, and then just anything you could say about what's happening with ceasefire?
Yes, Rachel, we are moving forward with call-ins. So we typically have a call-in every quarter. We held our first call-in in the early quarter of 2021. We have another call-in the next week. So we are on pace to continue our normal call-in practice. I will say that we've still been impacted by not being able to have our custom notifications as much as we had in the past. And so allowing our community members who actually provide custom notifications to those at the highest risk, they haven't been able to go out into the community and conduct those. And so it's our hope as the pandemic lightens up and more people are getting vaccinated, and we are reaching, the orange tier. I think, we hope to assume it to the level we had in the past, and so our ceasefire strategy is working. We are communicating with those at the highest risk, so we'll continue with our call-ins.
Thanks so much.
I see a couple more people in the room. I'm just going to ask really quick. Shamari Smith. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Tara Seiler. Tanya Gilmore. All right. Jesse and Melissa, I still see your hands raised. Do you have additional questions?
Sure, Chief, and I'm sorry, this is because it took us a little bit longer to start recording, but can you mention again, what these executive actions are going to do in terms of tracking down these untraceable ghost guns?
Yeah, it was interesting to hear the Attorney General Garland speak to specific new laws that the Department of Justice will, begin to implement in the next 30 days, requiring those manufacturers that produce the kits that make ghost guns, limiting their ability to produce those kits without serial numbers, really being able to track these guns in some way, recognizing that importance and limiting the additional options that can be placed on handguns to make them more lethal and more accurate, and able to fire more ammunition out of them. And so some of these, quick laws, that might be on the books in the next 30 to 60 days, I think will really be helpful. We've seen an increase in Oakland with the number of rounds that are being fired at each particular shooting. We've seen numbers as high as 100 rounds at a particular scene. And so it really says when the president spoke today and he said, there is no need for people to have magazines with 100 bullets in it. Oakland has seen the impact of having weapons with this kind of capacity. And so I'm in complete agreement. I don't believe that there is any need for weapons with the 100 round capability to be available in our community. And so this is a community. This is not a place of war. And we, as leaders and as government have to take action to make sure that we don't allow people to treat our communities in that way. And I thought the president's statements today hit home for me.
I see Cron 4, you have your hand raised, Cron.
Yes, this is Sanaz Tahernia from Cron 4. Chief Armstrong, just wanted to say thank you for taking questions. I know this is all in the preliminary stages, but how will these actions at the federal level how will they be implemented specifically in Oakland?
Well, Oakland has a strong partnership with the ATF already. And so our partnership with the ATF, I think, is just strengthened by the commitment from the White House today. I think also hearing from the Attorney General about the leveraging of funding to support violence prevention is also key. We obviously know the city of Oakland has struggled with a budget deficit. It's limited the department's resources. It's also limited the resources of our Department of Violence Prevention. So it's our hope that Oakland, by me being invited today and being in the room, hopefully it increases our chances to receive some of the funding that may be available to help fill that gap and potentially even give us more resources. And so I'm hopeful. I think, the White House understands the problems that we're facing in the city of Oakland. And so I hope that we can, obviously be a beneficiary of the funds that will be leveraged today.
Thank you.
All right, Chief, I know you'll have a conversation coming up next week on Wednesday with the community on Facebook Live, but real quick question for you. What did it mean to you and what does it mean for the city of Oakland to have the honor to come to the White House?
Well, it means so much to me to be selected as the chief, to be invited to this historic event. But it also, is something that I think all of us in the city of Oakland should know that at the highest level in this country, our president is concerned about gun violence. And so as we in Oakland continue to do our best to address gun violence, it brings me hope that from the president that he is also paying attention to gun violence and is providing the resources needed to address gun violence in a holistic manner, not just focusing in on law enforcement, but focusing in on how community can also be a part of the solution. So, that was inspiring for me today. And so just happy to represent our city.
All right, Chief, I'm gonna give you a chance to wrap it up. Anything else you would like to say or add before we end our
No, I think, as a young boy, as a dream of being a police chief, you never dream that you have the opportunity to meet the president and actually have a chance to be in the White House and be a part of change at the highest level. And so just great for the city of Oakland and great for the Oakland Police Department.
Chief, one last question. Any chance you could share the conversation, what that was like? Did the president say anything in particular?
Yeah, just, I had a chance for the president to look and give me a wave and being the only law enforcement officer in the room and in his speech when he recognized law enforcement looking directly at me, I thought was a moment. And so a moment that I obviously won't forget. And so, happy to be here and happy to be acknowledged by the White House team.